continue to pray like that, to thank God, because it's already done. It just takes some time. Just to screen through obstacles in many lower levels and through this world. We still have to thank God anyway, as if world vegan, world peace is already there, because it should be there. It's just being obstructed by space and time until it's manifested in this world. The physical domain is different. Just like the soul is pure and simple and mighty, powerful. But the soul cannot manifest it toward the outside world because we have the mind, the brain, the physical, and the preconceived ideas which are taught and have influenced and contaminated our being so much. That's why sometimes people think good things and do good stuff. The next day, they do the opposite. Just because sometimes they can get through the obstacles, sometimes they cannot. That is the thing, okay? So heaven always listens to our prayers, just as we don't listen to heaven's answer. Because sometimes the people just want it, what they want. They don't know that what they want is not good for them, but they don't listen to heaven's advice. Even I sometimes, I have to listen to heaven's advice, even about where I sit, just where I sit, and what I should eat that day, or how I should handle such and such situation, like that. Things are complicated in this world because people are contaminated by the bad influence of the physical atmosphere. And Maya makes it worse and worse. When we first came here, when the souls first came here, from the Brahma heaven, they were pure, they didn't eat anything. Our ancestors did not have to eat anything, did not have to do anything. They could fly around, living in peace and happiness. And slowly, the nosy quality gets the better of them. They see this and that, things from the sea, and things that grow on the water and grow on the land, and they begin tasting it. Begin tasting one thing after another, and then they got used to it. And then if they don't taste them, they don't feel good. And then they start to taste more and more as the habit grows. Then they eat more and more, and then they become heavier and heavier. And they can't fly anymore. They cannot communicate by telepathy that much anymore. And then they begin to fight with each other for better comfort, for more food, etc. And that's how we got worse and worse. And then we have some golden age period of time. But then we use the knowledge to make something bad. Just like people know the atom, and then they make atom bombs and destroy so much. And the influence, the bad effect is still wreaking havoc on many of the victims of those lands. For example, in Japan, Hiroshima, some people still suffer the effect of that atom bomb that dropped on them so long ago. And now, they did not learn from that. They're still threatening. Those strong countries still threaten the weak countries with atom bombs. Yeah, I'm telling you. We have more priests, more popes, more monks, more nuns who are supposed to keep God's teachings alive, reminding people to do good, to be virtuous. But they themselves are evil. You know that. All the reports are everywhere on many countries nowadays. But still nothing is done. And then some governments, instead of taking care of their people, are using the tax money to make war, to kill more, and to destroy more beautiful places, beautiful people, to make food harder to get, dearer to buy. People are living in poverty, in hunger, in thirst. But the leaders of those governments, they have nothing to worry about. They always have money. And if a big urgency comes, they just drop into airplanes and run to safety somewhere else. Only the citizens suffer. And thanks also to many of the priests and popes and monks and nuns of different religions who didn't do much good either. Instead, they're leading people astray or taking the faith from them, making them believe no more in God or less in heaven, making them become more mundane or more bad in the heart, more faithless, more troublesome for the country and for the whole world.
Và dựa vào nhà Phật giáo Nguyên Thủy đó, thì rõ ràng đó, hình ảnh địa ngục chỉ là một phương tiện để giáo dục đạo đức thôi. Bởi vì tất cả đều tái sinh ngay lập tức, thì còn đâu mà tồn tại ở dưới địa ngục. Niệm Phật có giảng sanh cực lạc Tây Phương được hay không? Câu trả lời nếu đúng với lịch sử và dựa vào bài kinh thứ 18, kinh Trường Bộ là không, vì Tây Phương cực lạc không có thật.
Pope Francis was the candidate of the St. Gallen lobby, whose object is a change in church teaching, a relaxation of discipline on sexual morality. And this is what Pope Francis is implementing.
We have come to a point that even simple people with little knowledge of doctrinal issues understand that we have a non-Catholic Pope, at least in strict sense of the term.
In his homily at the Casa Santa Marta, Pope Francis explained what paralyzes Christians with a very graphic example.
Non rischiare, per favore, no? La prudenza, I comandamenti tutti, sì, è vero, ma questo ti paralizza.
The Francis effect is to disarm us. What he's doing is a threat to our faith. And it's a threat to the church. And it's a danger for the salvation of souls. The Pope has commanded priests to absolve the sins of women who've committed abortion and doctors who have performed abortions. Well, the impression given is that you go in, you don't have to be sorry, no repentance, no amendment of life, you can just go in and be absolved. Well, it doesn't work that way, as we know as Catholics. You have to be sorry and you have to promise to change your life. That's necessary.
Il Vaticano era stato informato di questi preti pedofili?
Era stato informato perché le vittime già nel 2013 o nel 2014 avevano scritto la lettera al Vaticano e non avendo ricevuto risposta in tutti questi anni abbiamo deciso di andare a Roma e consegnare personalmente la lettera al Papa. Ha chiesto perdono per quello che è successo e ha detto di pregare per lui e basta.
Giuseppe Concilio also attended the meeting with the Pope.
Mi è rimasto rosso nel viso, mi ha detto perdonami e ha fatto una preghiera. A me la preghiera non mi serve perché ormai la mia vita è rovinata.
Pope Francis, earlier this year, he drew widespread criticism, defending a Chilean bishop accused of covering up for that country's most notorious abuser priest.
Vigano claims he informed the Pope himself of McCarrick's misdeeds, and the Pope ignored this and restored McCarrick.
We have prominent cardinals taking an anti-Catholic stance on moral issues, of which we thought was settled. We have the Holy Father himself seeming to support them, to give his blessing to them.
If we want to know the love of God, we look at the crucifix. There we meet a man who is tortured, died, who is God, emptied of divinity, tarnished, who became sin.
The Attorney General's grand jury report identified more than 300 predator priests and more than 1,000 victims. It also triggered a wave of hundreds of previously unknown alleged victims to come forward and share their stories.
The abuse was a life-changing incident that just set my life in a totally different direction. He would invite altar boys to go on fishing trips, a sleepover, and the only place for you to stay was with Father in his room, because that's all there was Father's double bed. I'm not going anywhere until he got off me, and that's when I crawled out of bed and laid on the floor in a fetal position. And it was a crime that happened to us. Since when should the church be allowed to handle criminal cases? Why isn't it in front of the judicial system, as it should be?
Można powiedzieć, że świat dziecka w tym momencie runął. Się posypał. Poszedłem do domu, powiedziałem to mamie. Moja mama mi nie uwierzyła, ponieważ było dla ludzi w tamtejszych czasach było to do nieuwierzenia. Nie było to po prostu coś, co mogli przyjąć naturalnie. I ja automatycznie już to parę miesięcy po tym przestałem jeść. Trafiłem raz, drugi, trzeci raz do szpitala. Wpadłem w anoreksję. I było tak, że ksiądz się pojawił na kolędzie u nas. Ten sam ksiądz srebrzyński. Byłem na kropówce w szpitalu. To był stan taki, można powiedzieć, prawie że śmiertelny.
You hurt a child that deep, it's a spiritual rape. And you are, like, branded for life. So from now on, it colors everything. I can't imagine something happened to me in life that would hurt me like this has. It's the kind of wound that stays, no matter how strong you are, no matter how much therapy you get, no matter how many loves you have, or diversions or excuses. It's a spiritual rape. It really is. It really is. It doesn't go away. It steals your faith. I envy people who have faith.
I stopped going to church.
You lost your faith?
Lost my faith. Yeah. You see how the church in Boston tried to sweep things under the carpet, and you read about cases in this country and other parts of the world. I lost my faith. Yeah.
Etc.
The ripple effect of the bad influence we cannot overlook.